On a side note, my wife's gone. Some of you may know that. I tore out the countertops. A couple years ago, I poured all brand new concrete countertops, put a brown leather-like finish over them. They were absolutely gorgeous. But then I didn't like them anymore. She's gone away. Guess what I'm doing? Tearing them all out. We're going to rebuild them. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I won't. If I don't like it, I'll tear it out again in a couple years. Poured these concrete countertops a few years ago, and although I like the top countertop, I hate the bottom one. This weird semicircle thing drives me insane. I can't do this like that. Okay, that drives me crazy. Either way, I can't stand that odd, weird little lip. So it's gone. I'm getting rid of it. If something bugs you, you just gotta move on to the next step. Took us forever to pour these things, but because of this, it's gone. Done.
I was in Alaska and I was a bachelor like that. I'd be having a Facebook.
Alright, so we're getting the countertop removed. We're going to leave the base from the old one in place. So this is the base right here. This stays. We're going to set the new countertop on it. Now this countertop was poured with a concrete countertop special mix and reinforced with rebar, so it does not want to go, but a little convincing with a sledgehammer and a crowbar and a couple car jacks, and it's out, right? That's all. Anything ever needs is a little persuasion. We have Tim breaking stuff up randomly, putting dents in my floor.
Blaming me for the day.
Trying to get out of the way.
And Drew persistently cleaning up after him because he keeps dropping everything on the floor. You see that?
Captain Dribbles over here.
Look,
there's a trail of driblets.
Captain Dribbles, because we know he doesn't live here, so.
Yeah, show him the cameraman's dead. The cameraman.
Grind those into the floor.
I don't think so.
Hey,
I don't think that's the cameraman's den. I think that's Captain Dribbles' den. So. We'll show you how it goes when we start to get the new one in place. Okay, we've got the bottom live edge walnut slab cut and in place. This end came like this. We have to figure out what we're gonna do with that. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. So the bottom one, this is gonna be the countertop. We gotta polish it, sand it. We're not gonna stain it. We're gonna clear coat it, and then we'll put the top one on. So that's it. Take it from there. Technical Tim's working the saw, the master of the blade, Captain Dribbles. And here's the corner. That'll be covered up by rocks. The stones will go down there. So there you go. There she be. Here it is from over here. It's what she's gonna look like again. So when we got the rough boards, there were clear band lines because these were milled. Looked like zebra stripes going clear across it this way. We had to get rid of those, so we spent the day with a belt sander with a 50 grit. From there, we then went to a palm sander with a 60 grit. We moved from the 60 grit up to 100. From 100, we went to 150. From 150, we started to use the 220, and now it's in the final stages. I'm going to use an acrylic polishing kit, and I know that sounds dramatic, but this is a 1500. This is 24. Or 18, 24, and finally 3200. And that should give it that shine. After we get it just polished to the T, then I come in and I apply a bar top finish. It's like a glaze coat, not just coat after coat, but this is actually pour on and use a squeegee to get it to fill into all the cracks. Then I'm also going to seal the bark because this is a live edge. It does have this bark on the side, and I've got to get that sealed as well. And I'm going to use a spray-on poly because it's the only way to get in there. I may try to dab it in with a brush, but we'll see. I'll bring you through that process when we get to it. One quick thing I'm doing in between each course is I'm using a dry chamois. No moisture, nothing. And I just go over it, and I rub it down with a dry chamois because what it does is it picks up a very fine layer. Now you can't see that very well, but right in here where I just rubbed that, you can see there's just a tiny bit of dust. That's how much we're trying to get this. We want to get this to as high a buffer as possible, because that is the difference between having something that is amazing and having something that you look at and go, I wish I would have put a little bit more time into that for the rest of your life. Because once the top coat is on, the deal is done. Story's over. Unless you feel like stripping all that off and using a heat gun and trying to raise it and trying to get all that off, which I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take a little more time right now. I'm going to get this sucker the way I want it. So, little trick. Dry chamois, not a wet one. Wet one raises the grain of the wood. There you go. Okay, next step in sanding these two countertops down. We've hit it with a 3600 grit. We did the dry chamois on it, picked up all the dust. Now we're going to take this as a tack cloth. It's just a sticky cloth. We're going to rub over it, try to get all the teeny tiny fines out of it. And then tomorrow, before we do the finishing coat, we'll do it again. So we're just going to scrub this down real good so it's ready to go. This removes the bubbles, these teeny tiny surface bubbles. You can't trowel this stuff out, so you gotta just heat up the surface before it dries. Levels it all out. Gets it smooth. Alright, first coat has dried. It's a titch uneven. If you get right down to it, you might be able to see that there's not as much coating right here as there is right next to it. That's just a glaze coat. That's just the first coat that seals walnut, especially oak. They're an open grained wood. They allow air to escape, so you just got to seal those air bubbles. That's all this is. Now we're going to apply a heavier second coat, which is going to make it the more of the bar top style finish. So we used the torch. That got all the little fine bubbles out of the epoxy resin itself. And step two. Here we go. So here we have the finished product. Here's some tips and tricks. I applied this epoxy coat bar resin finish. When you apply it or you do something similar like this, pour heavy. If you go too light, you're going to get an uneven settling. It won't level out. It just will not self-level. So I poured it 4 times before I finally got it right. If you mess it up the first time, don't panic. Don't worry. You can fix it. All you do is let it cure and then put another coat over the top of it. But again, it took me 4 tries to get it right. Now the bar backing material, the backsplash itself, this is like a brushed nickel finish in between the 2 layers. You would think that would be a pretty expensive material, but really all I did is I went to Menards and I bought this flexible material. I can cut it with the scissors and it looks like the real deal. Now, because my electrical sockets right here were pushed out for tile, what I had to do was I had to either recess these, which, you know what, that's too much work. I'm not going to go through all that. Instead, I built the backsplash out a little bit. What I did there is I just found some old beer boxes. Yeah, my wife likes to drink Michelob Ultra, and in honor of her, I cut up one of the beer boxes and I used that as backing material to push it out a little bit. Couple things to take note of is I also polyed both the top and the bottom to seal it in. Be a little bit careful. Dust-free environment, completely must be dust-free or you're gonna be in trouble. And then right here, you can see it just tipped white. And what that is that's when the moisture's coming out, it won't allow the epoxy to bond to it. So hooked the lights up on the bottom side. There we go. This is what happens when my wife leaves me alone for a week without adult supervision. I tear out our countertop and put a new one in. 150-year-old oak countertop slabs.